Epik Mellon podcast. Conversations with the real humans behind broadband networks, cybersecurity, and the future of communications. Brought to you by QA Cafe. Hi, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Epik Mellon podcast. I just took count again, like I had been ignoring it for a while. So this is episode 70. But I hadn't been paying attention for a while. I have with me Carl Wuyts, right? Wuyts?
Nearly
Yeah.
correct, but it's sort of
Close
unpronounceable
enough.
in English,
Yeah.
so just Carl will do.
From Telenet, which is a Belgian ISP, and consequently, I end up dealing with a lot of Belgians in my work, especially in standards. He's just a really super interesting guy, and I figured he has a lot of insight for hopefully the kinds of people that listen to my show, including my dad, who is not actually in networking at all, but he enjoys the show. So,
okay, good.
As always, this is brought to you by my employers at QA Cafe, and so the views expressed by myself or Carl do not respect those of QA Cafe or its ownership, and the same goes with Telenet, so that we cover our butts and we can say whatever we want. And
Right.
as such, it is also brought to you by our three great products at QA Cafe. The first being CDRouter, the industry standard test platform for broadband gateways, Wi-Fi devices, and other customer premises equipment with over 10,000 test cases developed by industry experts that works directly with your CI/CD systems and helps you build better products overall. Second being CloudShark Enterprise, which is our enterprise-grade solution for analyzing packet captures in a familiar Wireshark interface. With unlimited licensing, you can deploy it anywhere in your entire organization, which allows you to standardize operating procedures around packet captures, make sure that you're not transferring data where it's not supposed to be going, and help you do everything faster and easier. And lastly, the power behind CloudShark is Packet Viewer, which allows you to add Wireshark native functionality to your cloud managed networking or cybersecurity systems. You can find out more about these at www.qacafe.com. All right, cool. Yeah, let's do this.
That was a commercial break.
Yeah, was right. And now I don't have to sell ads. Right? I don't think I haven't monetized this on YouTube either. This is all for fun. So like we have indirectly known Carl for like a long time.
Really a long time.
Yeah. And
I think we go back to like 2008 or something.
Oh yeah. You're gonna come up on your 20-year customer anniversary.
Is there some special present for me then, or?
I won't say. I won't give it away. Maybe. Matt's very excited about stuff like that, so
okay.
Let's see that. Yeah. No. So you've seen a couple episodes of the show. I'm very interested in how people got into networking in the first place. Very often has nothing to do with what we learned in school. Sometimes it does, but yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I sort of graduated in computer science, where I was about to become sort of a software developer. But it sort of turned out in a different way. So I got into networking. Basically, the basics started when I joined Cisco. Well, of course, Cisco and networking. That's a bit where the adventure for me started, in the routing and switching area. Then moved to CPE world, and sort of got stuck in the CPE world
stuck
somehow for more than 20 years now. Where I first worked for Technicolor, which back then still called Thomson and now calls Vantiva.
Oh, yeah.
So they like to change names there, obviously. Now since 2015 joined Telenet, which is an internet service provider, so a former cable provider, and today deploy an HFC network. So coax and fiber is a bit our thing, and we also have a mobile branch where we also do mobile connectivity.
Right. And so was Telenet like an original company that did sort of all of the deployment, or
it really started. Telenet really started initially as the TV company.
Right.
A bit like Comcast, but a bit smaller than Comcast.
Right.
But then, moved into the internet space and telephony space and mobile space, and then just became an internet service provider using the coax network up till most of the time still today for internet services
Cool.
of all
And
kinds.
then talk about being just TV before, but like, well, I want to say it in the span of how fast technology moves, a
Yeah,
long
that's
time.
true.
But when you think about it, it's not that long ago that
No, that's correct. So Telnet this
they
year it exists for 30 years, huh? So
yeah,
it seems long, but it's not that long, of course.
no,
And while before the service were all DVB services over coax with broadcast TV basically, is today nearly everything is moving now to IPTV. So yeah, the DVB part is sort of dropping in favor of IPTV, and of course more streaming, more on-demand stuff, and so forth.
yeah. And I always imagined that was kind of like a huge shock to the system for a lot of people that are in the industry, right? Because it's like ending up knowing a lot about broadcast TV and then having it completely go away.
Yeah, that's true. So also even the multicast services, where there were a lot of activities around that we should do the multicast stuff also. But the coax is less and less important because people look non-live TV. So it's sort of over the top services more than multicast or broadcast style.
Yeah.
Meaning that whatever you want to do multicast, you also don't gain that much bandwidth anymore because people do not look or do not watch live unless probably some part of the audience still does it today.
Okay, right. Even well, I mean, I guess for sports, but the streaming services all have an answer to that now too. Yeah.
Yeah, true. But for sports, it is still the case. That's why there's a sports package where live TV is still super crucial. But apart from sports, people used to watch the TV at 7 or 8 p.m. in the evening.
Yeah.
That's no longer the case. I mean, people still do that, but that's no longer the case in general.
Right.
So those things have moved quite a lot. For the CPE device, the change is a bit different in the sense that there was already an internet service profile for internet services. So that sort of grew a bit to allow more bandwidth for the TV services versus before. And before the TV channels came via DVB, so a
Oh,
separate part of
right.
the spectrum. While
Yeah.
now everything comes via the internet spectrum, basically. And there's a
Right.
separate profile split for the TV services if you subscribe
Right.
to them.
And the CPEs have changed in that time too.
It changed a bit, of course, as well. Also, the set-top boxes have it because we also been doing a bit of set-top box stuff a while before they had a tuner in there for coax services.
Mhm.
Today, it's an IP box in whatever format you can see them. Can be Apple TV as well with an app running on it or whatever. But yeah, these things have changed quite dramatically. For the DOCSIS part, the changes are sort of smaller in the sense that, okay, the DOCSIS standard grew from 2.0 up to 3.0, 3.1, and 4 now, while 4 is not popular and we will not see that much of them. There is also the EU regulation which says that they will stop doing copper services as of 2030 in the Digital
Oh,
Network
wow.
Act on the EU. So they
Oh, I
want
didn't know
to
that. So everybody
enforce.
has to do fiber.
Well, that's EU style, so
Mhm.
not sure how enforced it will be, but the idea is that you start cutting down the services on copper as of 2030, and of 2035 it's forbidden unless not possible otherwise. Because in
Wow.
small countries like Belgium, it's not always easy to put fiber in because you're not allowed to dig or you need 100
Oh, yeah.
permits or something like that.
Right.
And there are some areas which you really can't easily reach, so they might still stay on DOCSIS in some form, whether that will be a 3.1 plus or a 4 or whatever. That's to be seen. 4 will be the target probably, but whether that also materializes, that time will tell. But yeah, the trend to fiber
Are
is
they
there.
okay meeting? Are they okay meeting those standards with fixed wireless?
It's not that easy because also in the mobile part we have a lot of regulation, so you cannot just use too much power. Like in the US, you can use a lot more power in Wi-Fi.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
to start. Wi-Fi is more my territory, of course, but the same goes for the mobile part. And you also don't want to put 100 antennas in a small area to cover. So it's also a bit tricky that people don't want the antenna on top of their head, obviously. Uh, so yeah, it's not easy, but yeah, fixed wireless access can help. But we're a small country, So we're pretty dense. We have like, what is it, 11 million, 11.5 million people living in a small country. It's not like
Right.
the US. So yeah, there is a lot of cabling, and fixed wireless access is a thing, but not as much as in some other countries.
Interesting. Interesting. I just, it's over in the US, it's been very interesting because they, part of it was the marketing was really good, but like the speed at which fixed wireless was overtaking cable in a lot of places was kind of
Yeah, I can
frightening.
imagine.
Yeah. And like the product departments in those big operators kind of freaked out and started doing some very interesting choices, like active negative ads against the fixed
Yeah.
wireless access, you know.
No, but it exists here, but it's not as popular. It's a popular device for people who want to do. Let's say you wanna go on a holiday and you take your mobile device with you, so that you have your connectivity with you. That happens, or they have a second home somewhere near the coast or whatever, and they
Oh,
use
right.
a temporarily access part over there. But in general, it is not that popular in Belgium to do that. We're too small.
Right. But I stand by I try to always have a consumer view of things, right? So I always
Right.
stand by the fact that in the end, they don't care.
No, they don't care. They want connectivity. They want to have it 100% of the day, 24/7,
Yeah.
in a sort of a stable connection. And that's it. And whether it comes via cable or whatever, or via a dish on your roof, or although these things are not popular anymore, I become from a situation where TV service came via the antenna on the roof. Everybody got rid of the antenna and moved to cable, and now people say, "Oh, but we want satellite stuff." So place
We
another
had
dish there
one.
somewhere.
We had one on top of our house, on top of my parents' house. We had the antenna with the little thing that lets you
Yeah,
turn
yeah,
it so that you would get a
yeah.
better signal sometimes.
Yeah. But they do exist. We have TV Vlaanderen, as it's called in Belgium, which offer a satellite service doing that. But yeah, also there we have a lot of cable in a lot of dense areas. So the drive towards a dish or whatever is not that big here
Right,
in
right,
Belgium.
right, right, right,
It is available, but it's not that big.
right.
And if you
And a
want to
lot of
go
people do
to,
miss that the density thing matters, right? Like places where people are living in a smaller area, it is
yeah,
easier to get people good service.
of course. So, and we also have, like, you can also go for a subscription to Starlink, from US fellow Elon there. But yeah, I would say it's too expensive for what you get in return,
Mhm.
looking at what you can get, because the cable is in the street. That today there is a lot of fiber digging, so there is a lot of works in the streets. But even before that, if you have coax, you can have decent speeds on coax. Having 1 gig connection for I don't know how long at home.
You-
That's fine. I don't need 1 gig at home.
No,
It's
no,
nice to have. Don't get me wrong.
don't say it
But
because
yeah, now the drive is there, the multi-gig stuff with fiber, and I get it. It's a competition. It's a race.
well, that's what's so
Uh,
weird, right? Is like the because we were talking about how consumers don't care; they just want it to be working all the time.
mhm.
But the amount of bandwidth after a certain point doesn't have anything to do with that experience, right?
No.
It's like until we get to the point where who was it? Somebody was uh, at the Australia Broadband Forum meeting. One of the NBN guys said something, and I laughed because I always said this. It's like until we learn to digitize and transport matter, there's a upper limit on how much bandwidth we actually need to do things, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the negative, the downside of the coax is, of course, upstream spectrum is small, so we cannot offer huge things. And for
Which
some, like,
changed, right? Because
which has changed,
that
but
was
still,
okay.
it's still limited. But
Yeah,
yeah, the speeds in the downstream directions go. They start at 300 or something now. Well, that was not so long ago, the maximum speed you could get.
right.
So yeah, we have higher profiles now also on coax. It's okay for certain if you have a profession, like you're a photographer and you need to upload a lot of stuff, you want to download a lot of stuff. I can understand you want higher speeds. Whether that needs to be multi-gig, it's a different question. But yeah, it's the race is there. You can stop that, and it's everywhere. It's not just here.
Yeah. Well, also have without unless you can't go too far into this, but have has Telenet sort of changed the marketing a little bit? Have the story around just higher and higher speeds and go towards more like a reliability story, or any the best Wi-Fi, all that?
Yeah, all these things have passed already. The
Yeah.
thing, so we had the best web with customer visits. Yeah, there is a lot of things ongoing. There is competition moved from DSL to fiber. Obviously, they can now also offer decent speeds.
Right.
So yeah, the race is there, but we're a small country, so there is not that much competition. So it's kind of a different game. But yeah,
Right.
speeds keep going up. That's no difference. With digital act from the EU, something they will be pushed to do more fiber. Whether that will be fiber all the way to the home is the big question, in my personal opinion, because people need to go to fiber at some point in time. So there will be a must go.
Right. Right.
The question is, will the last meters also be fiber, or will that be something different? We see
Right.
the trend. If you go to, I did fiber to the home in London not so long ago, where you see that people reuse whatever is there in the building. So whether it's Mocha style, GHN,
Oh yeah.
Ethernet, whatever is there in the building, which can maybe not give you the 10 gig speed or 8.5 gig on XGS-PON, but it could still bring you 1.7 gig over Mocha or GHN in a sort of same passive way as you do on a fiber. So
Hmm.
latency wise, you're sort of at par with what fiber would bring you. And you don't have to dig or drill or do whatever in the building you have to do. I think
Right.
we will end up somewhere in the middle.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
such a believer in the CPE area. They do fiber to the room these days. I'm not such a believer of that in Belgium. I see people dig a hole in the wall and then start gluing the fiber in the room somewhere near the ceiling. For me
Yeah.
personal, in an office space or a business environment, this is probably possible. But in a residential home, unless the home is new, then I believe fiber to the room is for sure a good option. But in an existing home, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't
When I
see
when I
myself
when I
glowing.
first heard about it, I was like, I understand you guys need to sell more fiber ports, but geez, like,
Yeah, that's what you think then. I saw even with that glue gun in Network
mhm.
X last year. No, it was the year before. On one of the vendors' booths where they had this glue gun, looked like sort of a drilling machine, but then with glue, and they just stick the little fiber wire in the corners between the ceiling and the wall. I asked them then, and what if I want to paint my walls again? That is sort of a practical problem then.
Yeah,
I,
because
I, I
it's, I
don't, I
mean,
don't
it's still
believe it.
not cheap.
So if you take it off, then half of the plaster comes off. I don't think that's a very good
Yeah.
idea to
No, you're like,
deploy
it's like,
in,
it's got to be part of the infrastructure to
yeah,
begin
to
with. Yeah.
deploy in huge numbers. I'm not saying
Mhm.
nobody can do that, but in a new building, yes, for sure, you can do that. Not sure that people will do that.
So I remember talking with my buddy Mickey, who was living in Rotterdam, about how the ultimately the customer is looking to get Wi-Fi, right? And they all
Yeah,
equate Wi-Fi with the internet,
yeah, that's still the
um,
case today.
right? But the building types around the world are very different, right? And so he was saying how there's like apartment buildings over there that are made of concrete with like
Yeah.
literal like wire mesh in the wall. So it's like every room is its own Faraday cage.
Yeah, but it's also now because of the new rules with energy. Yeah, so you do energy neutral or nearly energy neutral buildings, which have a lot more insulation in the walls. So even if you stand alone home, well, you basically need a wired backhaul access point in every room, as a matter of speaking. It's not, of course, in every room.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is yeah posing some real life scenarios. It's not strange.
Right.
And we still see people that a lot of people say we do everything wireless. So we build a new house, no Ethernet, no fiber, everything wireless. I would not do that, but hey, who am I
Right.
to judge? Is it costly? Put wire in your walls? Yes, it's not free. But now the problem today, what we face now, is that we move to the multi-gig area, but people still have old, between brackets, Ethernet cabling in the walls.
Oh
So you have
yeah.
no guarantees of reaching those higher speeds. Huh? That's
Do
that's
you
a
is there
generic
is it
problem.
required? Is it required in Belgium that the customers have to be able to buy their own CPE if they want to?
Well, no, in Belgium you have a lot of managed services from all ISPs, but we also have this open cable or open policy thing. You can bring your own router or CPE or whatever. In multiple formats, you can put it behind your coax device or fiber device and sort of bridge it through and do your own router and Wi-Fi and so forth. But you can even buy your own coax router, which is not so easy because there's not so much offering there to replace the
Well,
ones which you can get from the ISP.
and that's what was wild to me when we were down in Melbourne for the last broadband forum meeting, right? We heard a lot from NBN and the other retail operators. They
Mm-hmm.
have a very, very interesting situation because the layer 2 and below is all owned by NBN, right? So
Yeah.
customers can literally be like, I'm going to switch to this ISP. Oh, okay, now I did it, right?
Yeah, but
But
that's a new
they
trend,
have
eh?
old routers, like they have old stuff, and the
Ah,
customers don't know, right? So they're like, why am I not getting this speed? And they're like, well, your router's 15 years old, but you can't like go around and tell people that, right?
yeah,
Because
that's
they're
true. But what I did see on the fiber to the home recently, that was last month in London, that there is a lot more wholesale now in the fiber industry.
Mhm.
Well, this is pretty new. I mean, now we see a split in physical layer and the rest in Belgium as well, so on multiple ISPs, not only for Telenet. But we see like in Ireland, you have a generic wholesale system, and they just put fiber in the whole
Yeah.
country, and you just buy from, I don't know, there is like 80 ISPs or something I heard from in Ireland, which is comparable to Belgium, I believe.
Well, because it's like
Uh,
anytime you'd be like, I can make my own ISP.
yeah, but you can easily change because fiber cable is from nobody, well, it's from somebody, but you hire it.
Right,
So no
right.
matter what ISP you take, you can do that. It's I think it's a trend we see more, that we do more a wholesale style of thing. We don't do that today yet in Belgium, but there is some cooperation upcoming between the two biggest ones, Hotel and Proximus, where they will go and open their own fiber to the other, which I believe makes sense. That they not pull two fiber cables in every house or three. But yeah, that brings you more to a wholesale model, and I think that looks to be the trend for the near future.
Well,
One
the
wholesale
issue
owner.
that kept coming up, and I don't know if this is kind of the same everywhere else, but it becomes like a who gets blamed problem when something's not
Yeah.
working, right? Especially when,
Yeah,
you know,
that
like
makes,
one company was
there is always,
responsible for,
yeah, there is
you know,
always a plus and a drawback. Yeah, the benefit is one cable, good. The drawback is, what if something goes wrong?
Mhm.
Who can
And again, the
blame
customer doesn't know. They're just
it?
like,
Well, no,
I don't know.
they don't know. There is a
Like,
cable, something's coming in.
yeah,
So yeah, those are the challenges I think today for the fiber. That yeah, digging is opening the street is one thing, but opening the people's garden or the driveway or whatever is something different.
yeah, yeah,
And let's
yeah.
say it's not always been done. We've seen some pictures, of course, only of the bad cases where it looks like a bomb exploded in somebody's garden, and it was just a pull of fiber cable, a lot smaller than my smallest finger. So yeah, it depends a bit. But
Yeah.
that same problem there. It's the digger is not the ISP. So who are
Right,
you going to blame?
right, 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 right. And did you ever do any field tech work? Because there's like
No,
some
no,
crazy
I've
stories
I've
out
been
there.
around with some, and I do some of my own in my spare time, a bit as
Yeah.
a hobby from time to time. But no digging. I don't drill to do other people's homes. So there is also a rule. There are also rules. Even the technicians from Telenet, they're not just allowed to dig or drill anywhere they want. Even if the owner says, "Yeah, go ahead," they are not allowed to,
Oh,
because
really?
if you drill a hole in the wall and by accident there is a cable running behind the part where you're drilling, you're sort of ruining these people's home.
Right. Oh
So
yeah. It's like, well, you don't have power.
the internal part
You
is
have
for the
internet
user.
service, but you don't have any power.
There you go. The internal part is for the owner of the building. Then
Yeah.
again, it becomes more complex. What if it's renting and there's always something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I asked because I when we started the show, actually, we were uh some of the people that I had on, we were talking about some of the crazy stories they have of going to people's houses and what things were like and what they had to deal with when they were.
Oh, I've seen. Well, one of the nice things I saw was that somebody complained that his TV service was interrupting all the time, so sort of broke off, or let's say not good quality TV. But he took a coax cable, took it straight through the floor, and then made a 90-degree cable and put it flat on the floor on the other. Yeah, of course he broke his cable in two basically, but that was still a bit of copper touching, so there was still something to say. he literally cornered it 90-degree coax cable, and it's not easy, yeah, because it's quite a thick.
Oh no, like you should feel that it's wrong if you're trying.
You should feel that there's something wrong. People do that. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, and that's what's kind of crazy to me, because it is now and will be for the foreseeable future. The way smart home stuff has been working is, broadband service, even when it was first starting, it's, a lot of it was a DIY, do it yourself kind of situation.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, okay. I mean, I don't personally want to do that, and I want to make sure that somebody does it right,
Yeah.
and eventually, it's like the person who ends up getting blamed has to be the one that takes ownership of the situation.
Yeah,
right?
but so more nice things.
Right? Yeah.
People complaining on their Wi-Fi, and then the technician goes to the home, and then he sees that the modem is there, but wrapped in isolation. So it's completely
That's why you have to
aluminium.
make them look pretty. So they'll put them like
Aluminium around it. Yeah. So these things happen. I mean, they don't do it on purpose, but yeah, these things you hit when you hit the road, you hit these kind of thing. Not all the time, of course, but you see that left and right.
Oh, exactly. And so like I say with smart home stuff, it's like, yes, there are people who would love to do that on their own to their own house, and they will probably have fun doing that. But there's a lot of people, maybe probably a lot more people, that don't want to have to do that stuff themselves.
No,
right?
no, that's true. That's true.
And so, even operators are kind of getting into that space in some places where it's like, oh, now we'll actually also be your.
Oh, we also do manage peripherals.
Oh, really?
Which is a good thing. If people want to do it themselves, that's perfectly fine. But as you say, sometimes as a sort of a hobby, I do visit some people's home, friends or family or relatives or whatever.
Right.
But what they do there is typically put in way too many devices, and they use these repeaters. I always say them, you look cheap, but for the win. They put them in the wrong location for starters, so they go all the way to the end of the signal and then plug it in, because here we need coverage, while you need to do that halfway the signel. But they don't know, and they don't have to know basically. But it's something you plug into the wall socket and should be doing its thing, but it's so bad. Plus, they have one antenna, so it's either receive or send. So you cut your speed straight away into half. The repeaters, stay away from them. These days, mesh is the thing, because it's easy for the customer.
Yeah.
Is mesh the best solution? Sometimes yes, but not always. If you have wire everywhere, an access point would serve you better than a mesh device, because you don't have the overhead of the hidden networks to build up the mesh. But it's easy. You can extend. You can. Typically, there is an app with it that you can see or whatever. But yeah, so these things are fine. But sometimes they're also sort of negative. If you have too many mesh devices in a building, let's say you have an apartment building. In the US, you have these managed buildings. We don't have that in Belgium. So we have separate owners. So you cannot have one owner organizing the Wi-Fi in the whole building. And if you then do a lot of mesh, they will fight each other. They start to do automatic channel selections and then flipping channels.
Yeah.
And it's something you cannot do anything about. Even if you have you do your managed services as good as possible. Sometimes it's impossible to get it completely fixed.
Right.
You hamper either one or the other.
That's why I don't know. Obviously I'm a proponent of things like Tier 69 and USP, because they're my children. But but getting people to understand that it is it is in their best interest to have their operator have a device that they can manage and use the one that their operator
It's a
gives
pro
you.
for,
And
not for everybody, but it's a pro for
yeah,
many people. That's correct.
right,
So we
right.
were sort of pioneering that in the beginning. Yeah? We always did tier 69 or SNMP in the earlier days on even access points or whatever, syncing SSID, syncing passwords, syncing everything. So plug it in, wait a bit, and the things organize itself. It helps people. It was with power lines, it was with access points, simple devices as such. But yeah, not adding the hassle of configuring anything. So you didn't have to go to a portal or you didn't have to use an app. You just synced to whatever your modem was broadcasting and sync to the devices via typically tier 69, like you say. Yeah, that's a plus. But yeah, some people prefer to do it themselves, and that's fine too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because I have this dream of the death of the GUI. Like,
The dead of the GUI.
you know, it's like I don't think that there's maybe 0.1% of the population that ever needs to log into their router, like for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
And you might want to have some knobs they can turn for like privacy controls or parental controls and things
Yeah,
like that. But other than that,
no, stay away from it.
yeah.
We have a very small UI. It's a cloud UI, not a local one, but you
Oh,
cannot
it
do
is
a lot.
good. Well,
Yeah,
because the other problem is that having a web server on the CPE is
there you
like the
go.
biggest security hole.
If you can stay away from it, that's good. Of course, it again, there's always a benefit and a drawback. But yeah, it's a small one. You can do a bit of Wi-Fi stuff and a bit of port maps, but there's not that much you can do. And for it's not good for everybody. And the ones who want to do it themselves, use your own router, whatever. But for the majority of the users, they just want to use the service, and that's fine.
Right. And not for nothing, barring the conversation about privacy policies and information sharing
Hmm.
and all that, there are advantages when you are not just managing one device, but you're managing thousands or hundreds of thousands and being able to correlate problems, right?
Of course, as well as so you also learn from gathering the data. That's true. Plus, yeah, but today it's so easy to buy stuff. You go to Amazon or locally we have Bull.com or whatever. You buy, they ship you things next day. They're there, place them there. Yeah, we have
I
some
have that
troubles
problem.
yeah, but we also
I,
have some problems with vendors who don't take it as serious and they just want high speed. So what they do is they do the
yeah,
maximum bandwidth on the mesh devices, and so basically ruining the space for all the close neighbors which are there. If
right,
you live
right, right.
alone, no problem. You don't hamper or disturb anybody. But if you do that in an apartment, you take 320. We have a lot less spectrum than the US have.
Mhm.
So also in 6 gigahertz now, we only have a part of the spectrum we can use. Yeah, it's nice to do 320 megahertz and to advertise your speeds over Wi-Fi, but the
What do they
realism
call that? The lighthouse effect?
in generic deployments, you can basically not do that, and not even with the new Wi-Fi 7 or later Wi-Fi 8 specs where you can punch into the channel width and everything.
Right.
It's better, but it's not ideal. But yeah, of course, you wanna show up on your box. You want to put the highest number possible. I understand that from the vendor's perspective. But as an ISP to provide services, you cannot just say, oh, let's say 320 megahertz here on the 6 gigahertz. You cannot do that. Yeah. So that's things
Right,
you need
right.
to take into account differently than the vendor which sits on the retail shelf and says,
Well,
here,
so that's my
your
that's my
device.
question. Like it must give you an interesting perspective having been a vendor and are
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I came from one side of the table to the other. Huh?
Yeah.
That helps. Also with the test automation. Huh? So yeah, initially it was like testing the thing, nightly builds, test over and over and over and over. While now it's more regression testing on drops you get from the OEM or the vendor. So it's
Right,
it's kind of it's doing similar things but in a different way.
right, right, right. Is there like is there any empathy that you end up having, like knowing
But you
what
know,
I mean, knowing what you had to deal with as a
yeah,
vendor, right?
you know better how the vendor is suffering from a number of
Yeah,
things. Like he gets only binaries from his or multiple SOC vendors, either it's Wi-Fi or the The core stuff, well, if you have a binary, it's not much you can say, yeah. So you get a no drop and it's better than the previous one. So that's what the sub vendor will say. But
Right.
is it? So yeah, you need to check on different things and being having lived 11
What
years
what
on
did
that
you improve
site,
in this release? Well, we made the number
on that,
12 instead of an 11.
but you don't know how you get the binary. That's still the case today. Yeah? So there's a lot of binaries just exchanged and they integrate. That's all you can do as a vendor. You integrate, you test, you do sanity checks, you do your stuff, but
Right.
completely end to end. And yeah, that's different. I think we do more end to end testing at Telenet than we were doing before when I was working for the vendor. But that's just because it's a different area. You do multiple nightly builds from multiple vendors. Branched releases, whatever. So you have a lot of releases. It's a different thing, but it's
Yeah.
it's a similar test coverage, but used in a different way.
Right. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to hit home coming from QA Cafe's point of view, right? Is that everyone does need to be doing testing, right? You can't just be
Of
like,
course,
oh, well, it'll get tested when it gets over there.
I'm quite sure that some will handle it like that, but sooner or later you will hit some wall somewhere. So it's pretty risky to do that. You have your paying customer behind you. You have to give at least some guarantee that it's fine. Issues will happen. That's part of life and part of technology. But yeah, you want to cover at least your known things. For me, IPv6 is my favorite topic.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing
Yeah.
for that for a long time. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I might notice it's faster than others. I mean that's because it's your point of interest. But yeah, it's good that it's covered because it's getting more important from the residential part at least
It is
to
getting more
get it working.
important, despite how badly people want to hold on to before so
Yeah,
bad.
it's the NAT layers multiplied as you do 2 times NAT or 3 times or 4 times. Whatever
Or
we
the people
see.
who are trying to reopen private address space to be
Oh
public
yes,
address
you
space
have
again.
that as well. And
It's
there's
like
a
it's
separate
still you're still gonna have to update every router in the world to do that.
there's
You
a
know that, right?
separate business today to sell IP addresses, even in small blocks. It's a
Hmm.
separate business today. But yeah, it will come at some point in time. I think today we're pushing now with the councils in the different countries is that to make the enterprise move. I mean, the big guys, the Facebooks, the Googles, the Amazons, they're all fine. Especially Amazon is doing a lot of effort there to
Right.
move to V6, but they also have benefit doing that. The question is, what is the benefit to the enterprise? And that's today still the problem. Well, Amazon now asks more money for one than the other. That helps. Or you
Oh,
give a
really?
discount or whatever. Yeah, you can have cheaper services in Amazon if you use V6 only,
Really?
which is
Good
good, eh?
for them.
Yeah, it's good,
That
eh?
makes me happy.
It's
I'm gonna tell Tim that. I wonder if Tim knows that. That'll make him very happy.
But yeah, so today the generic, the enterprises, it's hard to move. They stuck to a certain way
Yeah.
of working,
Well, for
and
enterprises,
they
I
keep doing.
understand. You know, on the consumer side, A, people have no idea. B, Microsoft at least what's ahead of the curve for Windows, at least
Yeah,
for IPv6. And uh Matter is only over V6.
yeah, but that's also normal because they want to even do more devices than before.
No, no,
So
it would be insane otherwise, right? Yeah.
they have a real benefit doing that. But like for instance, Belgium is small. To have a public services like electronic metering or whatever, it's so small that you can cope with your 10 address.
Yeah.
In the US,
Yeah.
it would be different. You have what 300 million people or something like that versus 11. Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. But yeah, overall, it's some of the challenges we have is we push V6 hard, we push it in mobile, we push it on. We have V6 only interfaces. So yeah, we really try hard. We do TR69, your favorite thing, over V6 only. So yeah,
Really?
that's the way to go. Yeah, we do it only, and then you still surprise some vendors if you say that, and they say, yeah, we will first make it work on V4, and they say, no, we're not gonna do that. First do it on V6, and you can fall back on V4 if you want.
Right. It's like if if the OSI model promises what it delivers what it promises, then you shouldn't have any
But we do that
problems.
for years now. The TR69 over V6 as a good example. As you're into that as well.
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference. I mean,
No.
it's just a bigger address, but apart from that, it's the same thing.
Well, and then with USP, we joke with TR369 for those of you who I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Uh, we joke about how USP at this point is like a layer 9 protocol.
Yeah, right.
It's,
Okay.
it's like it's like the application layer is just the transport mechanism, and then you
But
have
uptake is slow now on the 369. We see it popping up left and right, but
so the things that we have seen are, and it's cool because different people are telling different stories. The killer app for
mm-hmm.
USP is the fact that you can have multiple controllers, right?
Right.
All controlling different things. So like when we talk about the death of the GUI, like you can build a USB controller on a
Of course.
smartphone app, right? And
Yeah,
have it do
and then
exactly
use
the same thing,
okay.
you know. But a couple of the operators we talked to, they do it for a couple of things, right? So um they'll do USP for Wi-Fi management because it's
Mm-hmm.
just tier 69 is too slow.
Right.
For like active telemetry, or they will do it on new deployments,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they have some people who are putting like a dual stack, right? So, and then they'll use tier 69 for like
And for
firmware
the other.
updates and all the old stuff that they still, so they don't have to rip out the
Okay.
back end stuff that was doing the firmware updates over tier 69, right? And then use USP for some newer, more advanced
Oh,
stuff.
okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
last one I didn't know. Yeah, I see it's still slow. It's yeah, okay, we're capable, so we're a lot in RDK. I think
Yeah.
the movement is quite slow, heavily depending on the Comcast from before.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, no, and
it's
it will, I mean, it will come down to it being necessary or not, right? And if we made USP just to be like, oh, it's just fast for tier 69, then nobody would do it, right?
no,
Like,
nobody else. No, that's true. Okay,
you
yeah,
know,
good to know.
yeah. And with the new the USP services, so like behind the scenes over Unix domain sockets, we're actually using USP so that
Okay,
applications can install themselves and reveal and take control of parts of the data model that they own, like
yeah,
containerized apps. So you install
yeah,
it in
yeah.
software module management, and
Yeah,
then
but the
it's
funny thing
there.
on the containerized apps, because there's being advertised a lot on containerization, and I'm partially a believer because I'm an old person. You see it in my gray hair. So, but I grew up when I was working technical with OMCI, which was basically sort of a front runner of that containerization. And yeah, tried for 6, 7 years. The killer app wasn't there.
Mhm.
You see today there is a bit of movement, and I see it at different booths on the when you go to a network event or something. It's still not easy, I believe, to find a real very useful thing to put there. You can put a small agent
Right.
there to fetch info or whatever. I see people doing this security stuff for parental control things there. It's already harder because you might need access to your kernel stuff, making
Right.
it a bit harder. So there are good things
Exactly.
on there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still today, I still do not see the real heavy applications saying, oh, this would be good to have it in
I
container.
think that the push, at least from the people who are behind like purple
Hmm.
LCM, which is also barring a giant political discussion being ported over to RDK too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know that.
um
One will survive, huh?
is being able to you know commoditize certain applications, right? So they can be like, oh well, this guy's Wi-Fi management app wasn't that great and their support's not
Yeah,
that
yeah, you
great, so we're going to
override it
switch
with something
to
else.
this guy, you know.
For a UI, it's ideal. If you want to know UI, like we're talking about
Oh
UIs,
yeah.
it's ideal. I know you're a fan, but as I said, so for small things, yes, and I'm certainly not against it. But yeah, you see, you also need to reserve some memory, and today memory and CPEs, it's a bit of a war now
It wasn't.
with with the price
It,
increases.
memory was cheap a minute ago.
It was, yeah, it's quite heavy, yeah, these days.
Yeah. 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 All until,
So,
people want to start running AI at the edge on the CB,
but that will happen, eh?
Yeah.
It's already there to some extent. The Edge AI, the plus is that you have no GDPR related things normally.
Mm-hmm.
which is the big challenge, how to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
your
And for
privacy
those of you who
private.
don't know, GDPR is the European regulation for
Oh, right,
privacy
sorry.
controls.
We only know one,
It
Jason.
yeah. It's it's I have a lot of opinions about it.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
Yeah,
privacy, people give up
yeah,
privacy as soon as they open the Facebook or whatever they do on their
yeah.
phone. Doesn't matter which application it is. So you give up to some extent, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, the AI stuff, of course, makes it so sort of running away somewhere with it.
Right,
It's a different ball game.
right, right.
And I think at least in Europe, I don't know how it is in the US, but yeah, there's a lot of focus on privacy rules. It's not
Yeah.
everywhere in the world the same thing.
No, and it's hard because, like, I say I have strong opinions about it, but like, I'm always a fan of kind of taking Occam's razor to any situation. It's like privacy is an unwinnable arms race. Like, it is, you will never ever be able to win
No, no, of
that
course not.
battle, right?
I mean, there's so much
So,
cameras on the street today, just to name
yeah,
something.
right. So it's like, what can you do differently, knowing that it's an unwinnable race?
No, no, that's true. So you need to give up, I think, to some extent.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, let's say the last little bits should remain private, and yeah, the risk is there that it's not the case, or
Yeah.
no longer
I
the
just,
case running those models.
and I had this thought experiment the other day that I threw at some friends of mine, and they're not technical people, so their answer was very interesting. I was like, okay, let's pretend for a minute that tomorrow quantum computing got good enough that encryption is impossible, right? But then nothing can be encrypted anymore. It's pointless, right? It's
Yeah,
just not a thing that you can do.
yeah,
What would you change about your behavior? What would you change about what things would you want to use? What things would you still care about? And how would you satisfy those needs? And like out of the gate, they were like, well, we would just all use cash. And I'm like, what an incredibly simple and perfect answer.
yeah. It will help. The money
You just
part,
use
at least. No, no, but
I was
that's
like,
I,
wow.
that's if you need to start thinking when it happens, you're probably also a bit late.
Yeah, it's true, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
there are some things you can do, but it won't be easy. It probably will happen at some point in time, but the
Right.
question
And
is,
then it's
when
like,
is
well,
that point in time?
right. It won't be a crisis. We treat it like a crisis, but that's just because we've built the world knowing that we had this tool at our disposal,
It's true.
and we won't. So what? We'll do something else.
We'll have to say.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you coming on. A kind of a no-brainer, actually. I should have had you on earlier.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I apologize for my accent because it might sound a bit too hard, but
No, no, not at all. It's people. Part of me doing this show is showing showing the people that I know and love like how international my life is, right? So they understand. Cool. Yeah. So if you have any burning questions for Carl, feel free to drop them into the comments in YouTube right here and hit the subscribe button. Assuming, actually, I'm going to be on the left side, so I'm going to point that way, right? Hit the subscribe button, or do subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts too. You won't see our beautiful faces, but you'll get the gist of what's happening. And above all, own the nerdy things that you love and have fun doing them. Thanks, Carl.